Good morning. Sorry about that. So, everything's good? Yeah, it's all going. Boom. Appreciate you. All right, so we back. Don't worry if just some whatever had to happen happened. We back. We gonna sit in here. We gonna wait for. Oh shoot, yeah, that was definitely the wrong button. Yeah, it looks crazy on it. So we back. Now the shit fucking got up in here correct. So we back. Yeah, it looks crazy over there. I told you I was straightening up, so I was picking stuff up, putting stuff everywhere. You had to be on the other live to know. Anyway, with that being said, we're gonna give everybody an opportunity to get back in here. We're gonna be discussing this case, TAXSTONE Troy Ave case once again. And I want to be clear about this. I can't stress this enough. It's not my job to condemn anybody. I'm not doing that. It's not my job to try to get anybody off. Like I don't have no say over what the jury is doing. Pardon me. Also, if there's anybody from the jury watching this, please leave. Go do whatever you do on your Fridays. You should not be in here. This cannot help you do your job better as a juror. You understand? Just so we can be clear, this can't help you do your job better as a juror. Even though I'm only reading over the minutes of the case, the way that I'm interpreting it, you should have your own minutes, the way that you interpret the case. And in addition to that, even more importantly, why this can't help you is because there's going to be people in the chat that's going to be saying all types of things that don't have anything to do with what's going on in court. The only thing that jurors should be concerned with is the things that the judge say to be concerned with. I promise you, the judge do not want you to be concerned with what I'm talking about or what's going on over here. So please, if we got any jurors in here, go do something else. Go find something else to do. We need for you to be able to do your job appropriately, no matter what the outcome is of the trial. We need for you to follow all the rules and all the regulations that the judge is given, so that the case could be determined by the law, not by freaking the internet. Because we all know people on the internet, for the most part, there's more people on the internet that want to see total anarchy and want to see the world burn than there is on the internet that want good things to happen. And we all know this is true. You got people that swear that they love God, but they go to the internet and they do all the ungodly things that they could think of. We all stumble. We all fall short at times. And there's going to be moments where even the most staunch advocate of the Most High's faith might waver. That doesn't mean that that's that person's whole entire life. Satan is going to tell you that, though. While we are waiting to get the... Oh, I can't because it's on that phone. I was going to read the word for today, but I can't because it's on that phone. So we will go over some more of the context over here, what we're doing over here. Don't get this confused. I want to apologize that we had the live got interrupted. We had 99 people in here. I'm hoping to get some of y'all back. I'm going to put you where you actually belong. It's fantastic. I'm going to use this for burgers. I'm going to run through that. Nope. Sometimes you just see some shit and you're just like, we're not doing this. In any regard. Since we were interrupted, I'm gonna now do if you go back to the other live that we just previously had, you'll understand that we were going through what the judge actually gave the orders to for the court. And we was going through the prosecution's, how do you say it? We was going through the prosecution's opening statement and the things that basically, not the whole entire opening statement, but the things that the defense was contending against. And now we're going to go through the defense's opening statement, and we're going to go to the points that I have, that I've already have written. that the prosecution is contending with. And at some point in the future, I'm probably just gonna make a whole. I'm gonna rewrite all of this. Obviously, I'm gonna go through this personally, so I can have points to better accentuate where most of the arguments are, or where most of the contention is in these conversations that they're having in court. So real quick, I just want to point this out once again. TAXSTONE is presumed innocent. He's presumed innocent. Everybody, when you go into court, is presumed innocent. Now, if you're somebody who has a personal connection to people, and you like, we're not presumed innocent, we know what happened. If you're an individual who you saw a thing, so you have not just an opinion of what did and or did not happen, but you have you were there, so you saw something, and you're not presuming innocence, I'm fine with that. But for everybody who wasn't there, and for everybody who doesn't have a personal relationship in these matters, we should always be assuming that a person is innocent. With that being said, the prosecution said Tax was popular, and that's why Troy Ave they had the conflict. Pardon me, the defense is saying that Tax was popular. Could we hit that like button so we can send out some notifications, please? The defense is saying that Tax. This is the defense's opening statement. I'm just reading the parts that there was contention with the prosecution, just so we can be clear. So the defense is saying that Tax was popular, and that's what created this whole entire situation. The defense is saying, the prosecution is saying that they're contending that Tax was actually the one that was harassing Troy Ave. Just so we can be clear, the defense is saying Troy was not popular once again, and the prosecution is contending he was scheduled to perform. T.I. basically asked for him personally to perform at his event. So they're saying that the idea that he was not popular, that doesn't make sense. The defense is saying Troy Ave didn't like that Tax was popular. Once again, the prosecution is saying Tax started the beef. Yes, absolutely, Springs. Absolutely. Salute. How you doing today, my brother? Absolutely. You already know what it is. The prosecution is saying, the defense is saying Benga had a history of assaulting rappers and bloggers and journalists. The prosecution is saying Benga was actually his security, that he was basically not assaulting anybody, that in these moments he was securing Troy Ave. This is just the points of contention. I'm not saying I agree with one side, and I'm not saying that I agree with the other. I want to be clear on this. Troy Ave, the prosecution is saying, the defense is saying Troy Ave came to the venue looking for trouble. The prosecution is saying Troy Ave was scheduled to perform, and that's why he was there to begin with. The defense is saying when he heard Tax was there alone, they assaulted him. The prosecution is saying Tax came with a weapon, and because he wanted a confrontation. The defense is saying once Benga and Troy Ave entered the room, they attacked TAXSTONE. The prosecution is saying TAXSTONE confronted Troy Ave and Benga, that they didn't initiate the conflict. The defense is saying as soon as they entered the room with TAXSTONE, TAXSTONE then attacked them. The prosecution is saying, the defense is saying as soon as they entered the room with TAXSTONE, TAXSTONE then attacked them. The prosecution is saying TAXSTONE initiated the confrontation. And that's about all I have right now for that particular opening statement. We will be doing this more. Also, just so we can add, I want to speak on the witnesses that are going to come up. the prosecution, the defense is saying that these are federal cooperators, and the only reason why they're cooperating is because they want a 5K1 letter, and they're not cooperating telling the truth. They're actually cooperating by telling lies. This is what the defense is saying. Malcolm is one of the cooperators, and the defense is saying that he's the head of a large drug operation. Also, he was running guns, they're saying. He's facing 42 years to life in prison, and somehow he's currently free. I just want to say something. That's weird. Who do you know facing 42 years to life in prison, but they give him bail and or bond and say, you know what, we're just gonna let you run free? So that's odd. I just want to say that. That doesn't mean that he's getting on the stand and he's gonna say something that's not true. Because remember, the defense is basically saying that you can't trust the words that are coming out of these guys' mouths because they're saying these things in order to get favorable treatment from the court. The court is saying that these guys were bad guys. That's how come they know the things that they know. Because they are all bad guys. That's what the prosecution is saying. Troy Ave, this Malcolm guy, TAXSTONE, all bad guys at one point or another. And just so we can be clear, they're also saying that all the informants, all the information from Malcolm is secondhand. And they're also saying the people cooperated because they wanted to be, they wanted good help from the courts. And they're saying that only one witness is going to physically ID that actually saw TAXSTONE shoot the gun. And I assume that's Troy Ave. And then they ask that you balance what the witnesses are saying against the actual evidence. And I just want to point out, most of the evidence that they mention, a lot of the evidence that they're talking about, the prosecution, is literally evidence against Troy Ave. That's a factual statement. A lot of the evidence that they're talking about is literally evidence against Troy Ave. That's a factual statement. Is there anything that anybody want to ask before I go any further? Is there any specific witness that you would like for me to speak on more? I know that our live was interrupted. We was having a really good conversation in here. Our live was interrupted. That's just what was happening. There's nothing we could do about that. It's okay. Is there any day that y'all would like me to start on? Anything specifically that y'all would like me to speak on? Or that you would like for me to repeat information from is basically what I'm asking. I'm not asking for you to ask me what my opinion on anything is, just so we can be clear. Usually when people ask you your opinion for things nowadays, they're just asking you your opinion because they want to argue with you. They're not asking you your opinion because they want to have a discussion. I don't really care to be giving my opinion on anything, just so we can be clear. That's not my job. My job isn't to tell you what I think about the case. Since we don't have nowhere specifically to start, I am going to I would like for you guys to ask me where you want to start, so it don't seem like I'm picking and choosing sides. That's actually the issue that I have right now at this moment, because I understand that depending on what I talk about, it's going to sound like I'm picking and choosing sides, and I'm not. I'm really not. But I will say that there is an audio recording that we heard in court. I do not think that it was read into the minutes, so I'm not going to speak on it. But there's audio recordings that they have of TAXSTONE in jail that is going to come up at some point, and it was pretty not a good look. But we're going to see exactly how they use that in court. What up, the Blake Check? How you doing, my brother? Salute. He said that the prosecution mentioned if the informant they have was taxed on recording admitting to the shooting. Okay, so no, they don't have tax. I didn't hear anything at all with tax in his own voice admitting to shooting of anyone. I want to be clear on that. I didn't hear anything at all where there is a audio recording. I'm not saying it doesn't exist. I'm saying I did not hear anything at all of an audio recording existing where TAXSTONE said he shot a person. I didn't hear them say that there's an audio recording of TAXSTONE saying he shot a person. There is a witness that is going to take the stand that is going to say that TAXSTONE told him that he shot a person. But no, I didn't hear any audio myself of TAXSTONE saying that. But there is a witness that's going to take the stand. And the witness is presumed that the witness is going to say that TAXSTONE told him that he did it. Just so we can be clear. But no, I didn't hear that audio. I can't say I heard anything like that happen. If y'all don't mind, can we hit that like button and send out some notifications? Come on, Blake, check. What else you got? It's been 3 days in court. Y'all trying to tell me y'all got nothing y'all want to ask me that I can actually look into about. It's been 3 days in court, man. This is a lot of time. There should be a lot of questions out there that don't have anything to do with my opinion. There's actually a ton of interesting things that I don't want to pinpoint and go to because it'll seem like I'm choosing sides. You understand? So I would prefer if I could answer questions. There were people that was in court. They should be in here asking questions. Dutch Masker said, did Troy take the stand? No, Troy is not taking the stand yet. One of the reasons why I do not think that Troy has taken the stand yet is because I believe they're trying to, and very intelligently, by the way, I believe that they need to lay groundwork before they can actually have Troy Ave take the stand. Because I believe what they're going to try to do is refer back to testimony that experts gave or has already given and will give. So they can line that up with Troy Ave and with Malcolm's testimony. So I don't believe that Malcolm and or Troy Ave is going to take the stand anytime soon. I expect for them to take the stand towards the end when the prosecution is wrapping their case up. That's what I expect. They're going to take the stand around the time that the prosecution is actually wrapping up their case. That's what I believe. I could be wrong. But I think that would make the most sense. You understand? We got 42 people in here, man. Hit that like button so we can send out some notifications. The Blake Check said, in the opening, did the prosecutor say the informant gave Tax a place to stay in LA after the shooting? Can you speak on that part? They did say, just so we can be clear, that TAXSTONE after the shooting flew back and forth from Atlanta to California. And when I say back and forth, I don't mean he was just like going this way. I mean that after the shooting, whatever happened, TAXSTONE left New York, and he went to, at one point, he was in LA, and at another point, he was in Atlanta. And they have proof of that because they're using when his cell phone was pinging off of the cell towers. So they have actual proof of that, just so I could be clear. They had the cell tower, they had the they have proof of that. Hold on, hold on. Okay, here we go. So they have proof because they had a witness come up that spoke on the cell towers. They had two witnesses, actually. One was Molly Summers. She works with the DA's office as digital evidence. And she mapped the cell towers and the cell sites where the phone was being used at. And she created a map with this app called ArcGIS. That was the name of the software. ArcGIS. And basically she mapped the SMS data and the phone. They primarily used the phone, the voice, and mapped where they pinged from, that specific number. They only utilized the voice messages, just so we could be clear. And they're saying geographically, the pings was in New York, California, and Georgia. So I'm assuming it was in that order. So he went to California, then went to Atlanta. They're saying on May 25th, the night of May 25th at 9 p.m. to right around midnight, he was in New York apparently. And they say in the 25th, they showed the pings for the 25th. It was in the Bronx. Apparently he went to the Bronx first. They say that he was pinging off the cell towers in the Bronx around 10:30. They saying that, pardon me, on the 27th and 28th, he was pinging in Atlanta. BK and apparently Cali. I don't know if I got the on those dates. So yeah, so he apparently after the situation happened, he went straight to the Bronx, allegedly. Let me make sure I answered your question. Yeah, so I don't know. I don't want to say stayed in California because apparently I don't know how long he was there. They haven't spoken on how long he was in California, so I don't want to say he stayed there. But was he there at one point or another? Absolutely. If we are to go by the cell phone records. And they use the voice records, I'm assuming, because that then they know that was him on the phone. Anybody can have your phone in text. Not everybody, they're using the voice recognition, I'm assuming, to say, yes, that was him. You understand? But if you're just using data or you're just using text, then anybody could have just took your phone and went to West Bubble and did whatever. So they're using the voice acknowledgement so they could say, yes, this was 100% TAXSTONE. Brothers in struggles this morning. Not going to be at court at all in today. There is no court today. There's never going to be court on Friday, except on the 31st. There might be court on Friday. Other than the 31st, there's not ever going to be court on Friday. I believe the reason why there's not going to be court on Friday is because this judge trains other judges. Shout out to Judge Clot. Apparently, this judge trains other judges. So we're not going to ever have a Friday day, apparently. They're in court doing stuff, but I don't think they're in court doing this case. No, he's been, I don't know what you mean by tough, just so we can be clear. He's been extremely fair. He has an excellent disposition. He's one of those judges that if the things don't go right for you, you can't blame him. He's at an excellent disposition in court. I don't know what to tell you. He's made sure both sides are doing their best to make sure that the accused is getting a fair trial. And I don't know. Isn't that what we're supposed to go for? The accused getting a fair trial? That's the most important thing, right? Because let's be honest. Unless you saw whether a thing happened or didn't happen, you don't know if it happened. So the most important thing is to get a fair trial, right? It does say the last slide that they showed was the Cali slide. So he might have went to Cali and stayed in Cali for a little while. I don't know. We'll hear it in court. The defense team pointed out that she was instructed to look at specific dates. She agreed. And I guess if the assumption is if you only looked at specific dates, then how can you not tell that this is the person's lifestyle they weren't trying to run? So I'm not trying to make anybody's argument for them. But the defense team did say, I say defense, like defense. The defense team did say, get her to say, or she admitted to, that she looked at specific dates. And I'm assuming that at some point, their argument is going to be the reason in which why you found what you found was because you were only told to look for specific things, and maybe these specific things that you look for aren't actually abnormalities. They're probably normalities. You know, let's just be honest. TAXSTONE probably flies all around America, right? Who isn't to say that he had a appearance in California, a previous reason to be in California, and a previous reason to be in Atlanta? Any more questions? Come on, Blake Check. You're knocking it out the box. And you pulled up the other night, so. Tax is currently in Rikers. Ask Bobby Combs, explain to me why who makes up the jury is important. Explain to me why who makes up the jury is important. The Blake Check said, I also heard he lost his phone during the altercation. Did you hear anything about that? I doubt he lost his phone during the altercation because they only use the voice telephone conversations. So if he lost his phone, he didn't lose that phone. They didn't use any texting data. They didn't use any data. They didn't use any text messages. They only used when he made a telephone call. I'm assuming the purposes was that is so they could 100% identify him to prove that he was in these locations. So I don't know about him losing his phone. That might be ought to be about nothing. Explain to me what kind of people should be. Explain to me what kind of people you think should be on the jury for TAXSTONE, Mr. Bobby Combs. I'm not getting engaging in any argumentative conversations, by the way. So for anybody that's coming in here figuring that you're going to ask me a question so I can engage in an argumentative conversation, I'm going to make you have to clarify yourself. So Bobby Combs, explain to me why the ages of these people and races of these people are important. And then I'm going to tell you who I would want on the jury if I was TAXSTONE. And to tell you why. At some point. Brothers in Struggle says, is tax warrant still valid? Because if so, he's a federal warrant. He's currently locked up in jail. So what warrants are you talking about? He's currently locked up in jail. So what warrants are you talking about? He's currently locked up in jail. You think they're still searching for him? Yo, when they find TAXSTONE, they're gonna hold them accountable for those war. You think they still searching for him? I'm not talking about none of that. You came in here to ask me a question. I'm asking you, do you think they're still searching for him? Or does the question that you just asked me have no validity? Which one you think is more possible? That the question you asked has zero validity? That it doesn't matter? That it's just a point to try to argue over? Or, right? That they're still searching for him. Which one you think it is? You're just asking the question to try to create an argument in some way, shape, or form. No, you're not arguing yet. You're asking a question that has no validity. You're asking me if he still got warrants on him, a man that's locked up and in jail, currently on trial for murder. You're asking me if he has warrants. I'm just going to kick you. There you go. There we go. Anybody else? They just want to make it sound like you can't ask questions. You see the questions that these people are asking me. Once again, I'm not getting involved with any argumentative questions. If you're trying to make me argue or get me to argue or anything like that, I'm not dealing with it. This dude literally just asked me about warrants for a man that's in court 3 days this week so far. Explain to me why whether he has a warrant and or not is important. You think they can't find him? There's some people somewhere. They got, when you go into the building, they got a picture of TAXSTONE talking about wanted. He in cuffs walking past his wanted picture, and they like, we gotta find this guy. Oh man. Anybody that thinks that was a good kick, drop some frost in the chat. Also, drop some bags. Anybody that thinks that was a good kick, drop some bags and some frost. What the heck, fam? Why are you trying to waste everybody's time is the real question. Like Blake checks, asked the question. I responded to the question. Question's over. He didn't try to figure out a different way to keep asking me the same question. I'm kicking people that do that because nobody got time for that. Any other questions? Anything anybody want to ask that actually is pertinent to what we're covering and not just questions to ask to try to show how intelligent you are and aren't? Most likely you're going to be showing how intelligent you aren't. How full would you say the courtroom was been this week? Not that full. Where's the guy that wanted to ask me about the jurors? Where you at, homie? What happened? You went and disappeared because you was about to get ethered, right? I was about to ether your question. The dude that was asking me about the race and gender, the racist dude that was trying to ask me about the racist, the races and the genders and the ages of the jurors. Where you at? Pull up. Ask the question again. Break it down. The courtroom isn't that full. If anybody wants to come in there, you can come in there. Some days there's more people than others, but it's not really that full. This isn't like the Treyway case. It's not even in that the courtroom isn't even in like one of the super large courtrooms. It's in a regular size courtroom. It's like the size of a courtroom where if you had a speeding ticket. Not a ticket. It's like the size of a courtroom when you got to go deal with a misdemeanor. It's a criminal court case. It's not a huge ass courtroom. It's not. It's a decent sized courtroom. It's not a huge courtroom. Yeah, it's not like it's a decent sized courtroom. It's not super huge. Um, some some days it got more people than others. Um, TAXSTONE has a lot of support. Every day he's had a pretty large number of supporters there. I never stayed to listen to what the y'all don't understand how unbiased I am. I never ask the attorneys anything. I know they're waiting because it's part of my job to ask them questions. Don't get this confused. But what y'all have to understand is I cover hood politics. This ain't white niggas politics. This is hood politics. And street niggas don't know how the law work. So street niggas is just sometimes angry that you not saying the thing they want you to say. So they gonna try to talk crazy to you. They gonna remember when we was covering the Tekashi case, y'all don't even understand how much threats I was getting. You understand what I'm saying? I was getting threatened like right and left, and I still did my job. You understand what I'm saying? Still did my job. I was getting threatened right and left, man. This shit was crazy. And then the funny part is, people was threatening me and angry at me for saying stuff that was factual information. And then there's other things that wasn't necessarily factual information, wasn't like, okay, so there's things that weren't covered in court that people was upset that I was talking about. That's why I'm trying my best to not have those conversations anymore, because that made me look like I was biased when I really wasn't. So that's why I'm trying my best not to have those conversations. So I would want to go speak and ask questions to the lawyers. It's not like I don't walk past them. I want to ask them questions. But I understand also that niggas is weird. So what's going to happen is the lawyer's going to say something or have a point, and then I'm going to come to y'all and say what the lawyer said. And the first thing that's going to go through people's brains is, especially if I'm saying something that they don't want to hear, is that I'm doing something. I'm being biased. I'm trying to do this. I'm trying to do that. So I'm doing the best I can to disseminate nothing but actual facts and pertinent facts. Like, there's a ton of questions that y'all can ask me that I'll answer, but you just don't know the information in order to ask the question. And I get that. Give me 1 second. But yeah, so I have to conduct my, because of what I cover, I can't cover it like regular CNN. When we get to that point where we could cover the stuff like CNN, when we get to that point where we could cover what we're talking about like a Fox News, I can't wait, and that's going to be incredible. But I got to work up to that point. You know, especially because of the state of, the black community specifically. I don't think I'm at that point, specifically because of the state of the black community. I don't think that I'm at that point where me, myself, without an agency behind me, could report certain ways, because the first thing that people will want to do is try to discredit something I'm saying, no matter how right I am, no matter how on the point I am about something, no matter. I was covering the Tekashi case literally the way cases are covered. I was covering it the way CNN covers it. I was covering it the way that Fox News covered it. And then I was covering it the way regular news agencies cover it. That's why y'all loved it. But at the end of the day, street niggas don't. Niggas think that if you're not saying the thing that they want to hear you say, you lying. Even if they know you telling the truth. You understand? So I have to engage in this differently. You understand? So I have to, this is actually way more dangerous than people give me credit for. I still got to go walk out there in the street. Niggas know me. I don't know niggas. And you're going to have a lot of people that they don't care if I'm saying the thing that's factually correct. They're only going to care that I'm saying something that they don't want me to say. So I have to be mindful. You understand? I have to be mindful. I'm trying to, because this is just bothering me that that's not straight up and down. So I'm doing the best that I can to be mindful. And it don't have nothing to do with fear. It has more to do with I don't like the BS that I had to deal with after we covered the Treyway case. I'm still dealing with a lot of that BS to this day. Y'all just don't know about it. You understand? A lot of the trolling that I'm getting right now is specifically due to the fact that I covered the Treyway case. I'm not getting the support, but I am getting the trolling. I'm not getting the support, but I am getting the hate. You understand? People say you did a great job, you did a good job, and that's it. Which is fine. I'm cool with that. But a lot of the people that want to try to run me off of the internet, they're mad because of that case. Some of the people, not all of them, but some of the people, you just don't know because I don't talk about it. I don't want to deal with that shit. Pardon me. Any other questions? Come on, man. This is questioning. This is Q&A time. Ask some questions. I hope I don't want to just get questions when people asking stupid shit because I'm not going to want to deal with it. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to want to deal with the stupid shit. I'm just not. I don't think that you should have to deal with stupid shit in your life, and I don't want to have to deal with stupid shit in my life. I want to do a Q&A for a couple of more minutes, and then I want to go have lunch. If there are any more questions. I know I talk about Kendra a lot, but she said something to me one time. Well, more than one time, a ton of times. And she said that I got a real short fuse for bullshit. I don't want to deal with it. And that's basically really what I am. So a lot of times people see me just not wanting to deal with shit. They be like, yo, that nigga scared. I don't want to deal with it. I want to avoid bullshit. And now that I'm even a lot more understanding about the way the Most High moves, I understand that Satan is always trying to pull up on me to get me into arguing and to get me to have weirdo shit go on. I don't want to do it. You understand what I'm saying? I don't want to do it. I want to have a conversation. Every conversation doesn't need to be a debate. Get away from those people that think that every single conversation is a debate. Every single conversation isn't a debate. Get away from those people. Blake Check said, I wish I could sit in one day, but I need access to my phone and laptop for work. And they're taking electronics, so I appreciate your work. I appreciate you. I appreciate your comments. I appreciate all support that the channel get. I'm gonna consistently try to do my best. That's all I could do is attempt to do my best. That's it. There's gonna be people that's gonna be angry, upset, mad. I can't control that. Is there any specific thing that you would like for me to go over right now? I can't control that. If people are always mad at me, by the way, people are always mad at me. And then I'm going to tell you some super funny shit real quick. People are mad at me all the time. You know how often I find out, like, somebody be mad at me, and then I probably see them 2-3 years later. And then I find out they were mad at me over some shit that I never even did. And then I'd be like, yo, I never even did that. I don't know what you're talking about. And then they'd be like, word, you didn't? I'd be like, nah, I didn't do that. I had nothing to do with that. And then they realized that they were mad at me for years for no reason. No reason. So a lot of times people are pissed off at me for shit I never even did. So I don't know what to tell you. The defense's opening argument. Okay, we'll go over the entirety of the defense's opening argument. But whenever I speak about the opening statements, understand I am also going to talk about where the contention that the prosecution, whenever I talk about the prosecution's opening statement, I'm going to talk about where the defense is contending that I have written down. And whenever I'm talking about at least the portions that I have something written there, and whenever I talk about the prosecution's opening statements, I'm always going to talk about where the defense is contending at, just so we can be clear. Drop this down a little, just so we can be clear. All right. So yes, we can go over the defense's opening statement real quick. Why not? Give me 1 second. Been more than happy to do that. All right. Defense's opening statement. First thing they said, there's a presumption of innocence. Nothing is none of the opening statements is evidence. There's always a presumption of innocence. They said that tax was unpopular. They said tax was popular. The prosecution is contending that TAXSTONE was actually harassing Troy Ave. Whether he was popular or not, I guess, is their point that it's not important. They wanted to harp on the point that Troy was not popular. And then the prosecution, Troy was slated to perform. How unpopular could he have been? TAXSTONE got artists signed. Troy didn't like that TAXSTONE was popular. Once again, they're saying that the prosecution is saying that Tax started the beef. The defense said Benga had a history of assaulting rappers, bloggers and journalists. And just so we can be clear, just to give this a little bit more context, didn't he like punch Macklemore or somebody like that in the face or some shit like that? That could have been for security purposes also. What the hell do I know? Or it could have just been a personal beef and had nothing to do with Troy Ave. I don't know why he punched Macklemore for. In any regard, the prosecution is saying Benga was security. I'm just mentioning the Macklemore thing or whoever, McKinnon or whoever that guy is. I don't know who the guy is he hit. Everybody knows about it. So this isn't me bringing something up like I'm trying to. Everybody knows about it. In any regard. Benga has no, he's not licensed security. That's what the defense is saying. Benga is not licensed security. They said Troy had a stash box with weapons, which is true. They said Troy wanted to kill Tax. They said Troy was not a Boy Scout. He came to the venue with unlicensed guns. And I just want to add, those unlicensed guns never made it into the video allegedly. The venue allegedly. Those guns stayed inside the vehicle allegedly. This is what the police is also saying. And also when Troy entered the venue, he was actually checked and he didn't have any weapons. And just so we can throw this on top of that, and I'm not trying to go at the defense, I'm just saying, if we want to throw this on top of that, TAXSTONE's gun was the only one that was allegedly used inside the venue. So are we to believe that they brought guns in there and didn't use it? I don't know. But they did bring guns to the venue. And at the same time, we got to assume that rappers always travel with guns, especially rappers in New York City, right? Anyway, they said Troy came to the venue looking for trouble. The defense saying this. The prosecution said Troy was scheduled to perform, which is true. The defense said when he heard Tax was there alone, they assaulted him. The prosecution is saying Tax came, pardon me. The prosecution is saying Tax came with a weapon for confrontation. The defense is saying TMZ video evidence. They pointed out the TMZ video evidence that basically TAXSTONE is not seen firing a gun. They said the prosecution's opening statement was just repeating Troy Ave's statement. I'm going to agree with that, but I'm not trying to give opinion. But that's basically their contention, that the prosecution was just saying what Troy Ave's statement is. We do not know what Troy Ave is going to say when Troy Ave gets on the stand. So we have to wait for Troy Ave to get on the stand in order to know what Troy Ave's actual statement is, just so we can be clear, right? Just to be fair. Right? We have to wait for Troy Ave to get on the stand to know what Troy Ave's actual statement is. I didn't see Troy Ave's statement entered into evidence yet. I'm not saying that there isn't a statement that's going to be entered into evidence. Obviously, he has to have something entered into evidence that he said for the defense to know how they're to protect their client. So we don't have the information of what Troy Ave actually said yet into evidence. That's my point. Prosecution's opening statement was just repeating Troy Ave's statement. Troy Ave wasn't upfront with the cops when they initially asked. I just want to say this. Who the hell is? Also, the defense said the only reason the second cooperator got involved was because he was on a wiretap with Casanova. So apparently Casanova's phone was wiretapped, and he called Casanova and was on a wiretap with Casanova, and he got caught up. So just so we could be clear, if he's being evidence in this case, who isn't to say that he wasn't evidence in Casanova's situation? I'm just saying. Having something to do with something else. Troy Ave, because remember, Casanova and TAXSTONE are both Gorilla Stone Bloods, correct? Troy Ave used Benga's death to promote his career. I will say that Troy Ave got a lot bigger after the situation happened. I knew who he was. I posted him a little bit before this, I believe. Some, as much as I post anybody else, I guess. Probably more. And Troy Ave, just so we could be clear, did get bigger after the situation, and I don't think it's because of Banger's death as much as I think it's because this particular situation put him into the epicenter of hip hop murder culture. There's a murder culture here, right? They said Troy Ave is a narcissistic. Well, most rappers are, just so we can be clear. And being a narcissist doesn't make you this is just me saying this because anyway, Troy Ave is a narcissist. I'm not going to defend their points. The prosecutor helped Troy Ave with his story allegedly. Troy Ave told his friends they have to fake responsibility for the guns. They told him no, and then he unfriended them allegedly. None of this is evidence, by the way. This is just the opening statement. Once Banger and Ab entered the room, they attacked Troy. They attacked Trot. They attacked Tax. Pardon me. The prosecution is saying that Tax confronted Troy and Banger. They also said the opening statement goes on as soon as they entered the room with Tax, they attacked them. The prosecution is saying that Tax initiated the confrontation. The defense is saying they tried to assault Tax with glass bottles. They also say the story doesn't match up, that Troy got shot while on the ground, then got up and fought for the gun. They're also saying Troy Ave is the only one that fired the gun. They're also saying Troy is the only one that will say Tax fired the gun. And the cooperator will say Tax looked beat up after the event. They're saying that the federal cooperators are lying because they want a 5K1 letter is why he lied. They're saying that the Malcolm dude, he was the head of a drug operation. He's currently free, but he is facing 42 years in life. 42 years to life. They're saying all his information is secondhand. And they're also saying people cooperate because they want to go home. They have the one witness ID case. Once again, the only person that saw Troy Ave fired a gun, allegedly. Pardon me. The only person that saw TAXSTONE fired a gun, allegedly, is Troy Ave. They said balance the witness motives, the motives for them being witnesses against the evidence that's going to be presented in the case. And that's the end of his opening statement. So I don't know. However y'all want to take that, it is what it is. Any other questions? Anything else y'all want to ask about? The room start getting a little bit more full. Whenever our numbers start going up, I kind of want to stay a little bit longer because I know that there's people in here that might actually want to interact. So we got 71 people in here right now. Can we hit that like button, please? Send out some notifications. The Blake check says the big contention early on seems to be who sparked the confrontation. I agree. Independent of who fired what gun, I think that there is an aspect of this. People tend to vote with their heart, right? So I think that there is an aspect of this that independent of who fired the weapon, I think that individuals, there's a good chance that they're going to put the blame on whoever the person was or the people were that created the confrontation. I do believe that. I believe that wholeheartedly. Because people do vote with their hearts. People say that they vote with their heads, but they don't. They vote with their hearts. I want to say something that happened in court the other day. Shout out to Judge Trot. So when they were showing Benga's post-mortem pictures, you could see people in the jury visually upset. And at first, and this is just my feeling, at first it looked like they were upset because, you know, the man passed away, and you see them looking towards TAXSTONE. But there was a moment where all of that switched. They have this one specific point where they're showing the video footage of CPR being administered to Benga. And they let it drag on through its entirety at the normal speed. And you can feel, at least me paying attention, saw that there was at least three jurors I think it upset. But two of the jurors that I know for a fact, because I was paying attention, that initially was looking at TAXSTONE, now they were looking at the prosecutor, because there was no need for that. There was no need to play that in real time. Like, if you wanted to show how long it was, there is the minutes. You could have just said, you could have sped it up. People will understand and get it. But there was a moment where they just let it play, in my belief, in my honest opinion. This is my opinion now. I'm giving you my opinion. That they let it play for too long. And I'm busy thinking this in my brain. And I'm not thinking this in my brain as much as I don't want to see this. I'm thinking this in my brain is, you're about to lose the jury. And so there's two jurors specifically that they took their focus off of TAXSTONE, and now they started focusing on the attorney, the prosecutor, and not in a positive light. I didn't get it like it was positive energy. I got it like this is too much. So the reason why I'm saying shout out to Judge Trot is, after this, they show the post-mortem photos of Benga. And that the prosecutor literally was then trying to ask questions while they still had the photos up there for, and not about the photos, by the way, other questions, while they literally still had the photos up on the screen. Shout out to Judge Trot, because I am certain that he saw what I saw, because he stopped her from speaking and asked her to take those photos off of that monitor. So I know I saw what I saw. He told her to take those photos down before she continued questioning. Know your audience. Know your audience. With all due respect, I think that was the beginning of them losing momentum. Because up until then, They had all the momentum since the first day. They had all the momentum. Like I keep trying to explain, it was like the defense team was jumping double dutch. And they was trying to figure out how to get in the rope. While the prosecution was in there killing it. Prosecution killing it. And the defense team is trying to figure out how to get in the rope. And I'm not going to lie. I don't even know if the defense noticed this, just so we could be clear. Because once I noticed it, I looked at them and they were just, doing what their job is. When you're at the table and you're doing whatever, I don't know if they were looking over there. I don't even know if they could have seen everybody, to be honest with you. But that was the moment where they started losing, in my opinion. This is my opinion now. In my opinion, that was the moment that they started losing momentum. That was the moment, in my opinion, where there were jurors that were getting disgusted at their antics, for lack of a better, in my opinion. I don't think it had the effect that they wanted it to have. I get what they were trying to do. But I think that their presentation wasn't powerful enough to carry that move. This is just my opinion. I think when they did that, I understand what they were attempting to do. But I think that when they did that, they came off as callous and uncaring. It bordered on disgusting. It bordered on disgusting behavior. I understand that they're trying to get what they believe to be justice for this man. I get it. But it absolutely bordered on disgusting behavior. And me sitting in the and me sitting in the courtroom I don't think it had the intended effect that they wanted it to have. I don't know. I don't think it had the effect, the effect that they wanted it to have. I think that that was just a miss. I think it was a big miss. I think that they're gonna have to work. This is just my opinion. I think that they're gonna have to work to regain the trust of some of those jurors. I think that I think they're gonna have to work to regain the trust of some of those jurors. I don't know no way to put it. Any more questions? That's just my opinion. I think even with everything that happened after that, that was the win for TAXSTONE. I think that that helped. I think the stuff that happened after that accentuated. They just look like bad people. I don't know, and I don't think these. I don't know these women at all. I don't know the prosecutors at all. They probably really good people. I mean, they look like, if I just saw them walking down the street, I would think they were good people. So I don't think they're bad people. Don't get this confused. I don't think they're bad people at all. But they didn't look like it in that moment. Like they didn't look like, they looked extremely callous and non-caring. And to be perfectly honest with you, I think a dude would have been. And listen to my point, because the prosecution is two women. I think if it was a dude, we'd just feel differently about it. But I think that when you're a woman and you're somebody who has either given birth or has the ability to give birth, I think that people do look at you differently when you don't care, or when it looks like you're you're callous or you're non-caring. I think it looks different. I think that when I hear about a black man dying somewhere, I think black women specifically feel that shit. I think women specifically feel that shit when they hear about a young man dying. I think the first thing that they do, even before men, is think about their own children. So I think that when they put that photo up there and they did what they did, I think that there were people that was looking at them a certain way now. Because we expect for women to care more than we expect for men to care. Remember, a man caring is a weakness, whereas a woman caring is strength. Right? Am I wrong about that? When we see a woman that cares a lot, we assume we denote that as strength, as her being strong, as her being resilient. But when we see a man that cares a lot, we see that as a weakness. We see that as something that's preventing that man from being his most grandest self, right? I think that if a man did this, it would have a different energy connected to it, even though people would still see it as the wrong thing to do. I think that when it was women that did this, I think they come off like they're not trying to get justice for the deceased. It comes off like they're just trying to put that man in prison. It don't come off like they're trying to get justice for the deceased. It don't, I don't know how to say it. If I'm not already saying, I think I'm saying the thing that I want to say. I don't know if I'm being understood is the issue. I understand what I'm saying. People expect women to care. People expect women to be loving. People don't expect that from a man. Like, that's not the expectation of a man. People expect for a man to be strong, fearless. People expect for a woman to be nurturing and caring. And that moment was the exact opposite. I think they got their point across, but I think this is one of those situations where getting your point across actually did you more harm than it did good. And I personally wish they would have just, and I don't care about the guilt or innocence thing. I just personally wish that they would have had a little bit more class in that moment. And these are classy women. I'm not saying that these women are not classy. Don't get this confused. But in that moment, we all have moments where we are not our greatest self, where we're not our best self that we could be. We all have those moments. I think that this is their moment where they just wasn't their best self. I think that they have been kicking ass the first 2 days of trial. I've been covering the case. I've been telling you that, right? I think they were kicking ass the first 2 days of trial. But I don't know what happened here. They should have had somebody else come in and do this. They should have had a man come in. And I get it. This is, why can't women do everything that men could do? That's because there's a different expectation from women than there are from men. And it's a expectation that we all have, including women. You understand? This isn't a patriarchy, matriarchy thing. In any regard, I'm gonna let y'all go. Is there anything else y'all want to ask me before we get up out of here? I'm gonna go get me lunch. If I go do laundry today, we're gonna have another live in the middle of the day. If I go do laundry, I've been liking starting our lives earlier in the day, so we just might start the live earlier today. We're not gonna probably wait for 9 o'clock. We might take a break from the Tonight Show and bring the evening show back. I usually don't run both at the same time. So is there any other questions anybody want to ask? And if not, I'm going to get up out of here. I'll give y'all a second to think about it. It's a good thing that the family left. They wouldn't have been able to sit through that. It was just too much. I'm sorry. It was too much. It was too much. Definitely unnecessary. It was too much. It was too much. All right, I'm gonna get up out of here. Everybody, just have a beautiful day. Um, Go out there and just, you know, we need more good people in the world, man. Just go try to be one of them. You don't have to go and like go try to be a superhero or nothing. Nobody's asking you to go put your life on the line. But we need more good people in the world. Just try to be one of them. Try to compliment people whenever you have the opportunity, you know? Especially if you feel the compliment. Let's just try to get more good energy out into the universe. You know, be a part of the change that you want to see. Like, comment, subscribe. Join the notification gang. Hashtag Bronx Bombers. Let's get it. I love y'all. Take care of each other. Hug the kids for me. I haven't forgotten about you, and that's all I got on this one. I'm out.